Good afternoon, everyone. Very much appreciate you joining us today, and welcome to the informational session for a 2021 project on US 23 north of Harrisville. My name is Garrett Daw, and I am the manager of the Alpena Transportation Service Center for MDOT. And that service center covers all state trunk lines for the northeastern part of Lower Michigan. So essentially from West Branch and the Tawas areas northerly up to Onaway and the Rogers City areas and everywhere in between, including Alcona County and the Harrisville area. With me today, I have a few MDOTers. You're not going to see them quite yet. You're just going to see me for a little bit, but I will introduce them anyway. We have our design project manager, Kevin Shadig, on the line, and Kevin will be doing quite a bit of talking today. We have our construction engineer at the TSC, David Krentz, and then kind of helping us moderate, and you may see their faces pop up here in a little bit, our James Lake, our communications representative for the North Region, Monica Monsma in our environmental section in Lansing, and Christine O'Neill, who's with the TSC as an administrative support. I do have a few announcements before we get officially started here, and some of these may appear on your screens, but I just want to reiterate them. In order to turn on closed captioning, you can click on the settings icon, which looks like a gear and is located in the upper right corner of your screen. So the way this will work is essentially when I'm done talking, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, and he's going to go through a 15 to 20 minute presentation. And at any point during that presentation, you can ask a question by using the chat function that is located on the right side of your screen. We likely will not answer that question during the presentation, but at the end of it, we will read aloud the questions that have been asked over the chat and respond to them at that time. And if it's a question that's very specific, perhaps about an address or a specific property, and we don't have that information readily available, we would indicate so, and then get back to that question with an email response to all of the attendees for this meeting, probably within a week or so. And then if you have a question or a comment that you're not comfortable giving in the chat, we will list my work email, which is daweg, that's DAWEG, at michigan.gov, or you can call the service center at 989-356-2231. And it's very likely you'll get a voicemail because of the coronavirus situation, but we are checking that regularly and someone would get right back to you. So maybe Monica or James, if you're hearing me, it might be useful to put my email and that TSC phone number in the chat box so folks have it. We do have a link to Microsoft Teams help in the chat box if you're looking for assistance. You're also going to see a SurveyMonkey link, and this survey helps us to assess our outreach efforts among those who are affected or interested in this project, and is required as part of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And then finally, we are recording today's meeting, and it will be shared afterwards on YouTube. So if there are some folks that aren't able to make it today, it will be available for anyone to listen to at any time. So without further ado, I am going to turn this over to Kevin Shadig, our design project manager, and he's going to get into details of this project. Thank you.
Hello, my name again is Kevin Shadig, operations engineer for the Alpena TSC. I am the project manager of the upcoming 2021 US 23 reconstruction project in Harrisville. That's in Harrisville and Haines Townships, right in the heart of Alcona County. I'm excited to present to you the plans for this much needed reconstruction project in this area. This slide that I have up right now shows the exact project location in both Harrisville and Haines Townships. The red oval on the map here encompasses the project area that includes the roadways of Washington Street, Huron Terrace Drive, Walker Road, Metter Road, and Trass Lake Road. The project ends prior to the passing lane section near Lakeshore Drive. That's up in this area, right at the top of the map. The project length is a little less than 2 miles long. The following slides just give you a better idea of the project area itself. Again, the reconstruction project begins just north of the Harrisville city boundary and the Family Dollar store entrance and proceeds northerly. If you can see my pointer on the screen, I'm not sure, but there is a joint line that you can see right kind of near the Family Dollar sign. That's pretty much where the project begins and heads north. The project area encompasses the commercial area on the west side of the roadway, including Northeastern Window and Door Company and others, and continues north. The two pictures in this slide obviously show that area. As you can see, work will continue in front of St. Andrew's Church and Meadow Road and proceeds to Trass Lake Road and obviously to all points in between. The project will end prior to the passing lane, which is in the distance of this slide, just south of Lakeshore Drive. If you can see the yellow curve sign in this photo, that's about where the project ends. So what will we be doing out there? What project improvements are happening? First of all, this is a large project. It's total removal and reconstruction of US 23 from, again, south of Washington Street to south of Lakeshore Drive. This project will include removal of existing underlying subbase, the material under the road, aggregate base, and asphalt paving. Also included, there's what we call rubbleized concrete. That would be the aggregate base. The new construction will include placement of a geotextile separator. It's a fabric, basically, that's going to go down. Under drains to get water off the road. New subbase, new aggregate base, and new hot mix asphalt paving. New ditch construction and storm sewer, portion of storm sewer will be completed to improve drainage. Driveway and cross culverts will be replaced as needed. And many adjacent roadway approaches and commercial driveways will be reconstructed with new pavement and new curb and gutter. Residential driveways impacted will be replaced with existing material. So if you currently have an aggregate driveway, a gravel driveway, if you're impacted by the project, you will receive an aggregate driveway back. But in addition to that, all driveways will have a minimum asphalt approach added onto them. It's about 10 feet long, basically to reduce gravel coming onto the roadway shoulder from each driveway. Most paved shoulder out there will be wider than it is existing now, and corrugations added to improve safety. I'm sure many of you are aware, going up and down the highways now, there are the shoulder corrugations placed in areas with speeds of greater than 55 miles per hour to improve safety and keep people in their lanes and stop them from going off onto the shoulder. So this project investment in Alcona County is roughly $5 million. So first of all, I wanted to discuss the existing condition of the pavement. This is the reason the reconstruction project is required. Original 20-foot concrete pavement was completed in the 1930s, roughly. Over the years, the area beyond the concrete was widened and paved with asphalt. In 1995, the last major rehabilitation project was completed by removing the asphalt and rubbleized the concrete below. Basically what that means is they crushed the concrete to try and create somewhat of a gravel surface so the reflective cracking wasn't coming through. So upon that, they then repaved on top of it. This project did improve the ride of the pavement for many years. It has lasted 20+ years, which is a good expectation, but it did not remove the underlying problem, which is the poor draining soils that were underneath the concrete. These wet soils have caused freeze-thaw ride issues over the years. You will see from these photos that the pavement is ready for a total reconstruction. So on this current slide, you can see quite a bit of the cracking that's going on, and this is kind of what the whole pavement looks like in the 2-mile stretch. This next slide just gives you some more visuals. Obviously, if you live in this area, you're well aware of it. This is the Huron Terrace Drive intersection, and much of the cracking is occurring, and the close-up just gives you a good view of really what's happening out there with the pavement. So to fix this underlying soils issue causing the freeze-thaw ride quality issues, MDOT has proposed an innovative solution that can be seen in this proposed typical cross-section. Since the existing poor soils are retaining water, MDOT will be removing the existing pavement and excavating down approximately 2 feet and placing a geotextile separator fabric between the poor soils and the newly placed subbase. So on this bottom line, it says geotextile separator. That's the portion I'm talking about right now. And that's going to basically form the barrier between the existing material and the new subbase on top. Under drains will be added and new ditches constructed to channel water from under this pavement. So in this typical, again, you will see the new subbase basically drains out to the new ditch line. And also these under drains eventually drain out to the ditch line, which should remove any water under the roadway, which, like I spoke earlier, was the reason was causing the freeze-thaw ride issues. So above the subbase, a new 6-inch aggregate base will be placed along with 6.5 inches of new hot mix asphalt. Just as shown, the driving lanes will continue to be 12 feet wide, and there'll be a minimum 6-foot paved shoulder with the shoulder corrugations we spoke about earlier. I also wanted to note that along the west side of US 23, basically from Washington Street north, just to beyond northeast window and door, curb will be placed to direct water to designated outlet locations. This typical describes how this will be done. You can see in the typical, the shoulder will widen to 12 feet. In these areas, new curb will be placed, and you'll see this under drain again that will be draining the subbase of the roadway. And then at various points, there will be cuts in the curb that will have outlets, and then as you approach Washington Street, there will be inlets that will take water down the Washington Street outlet. Roadway approaches, just so you're aware, roadway approaches at Washington Street, Walker Road, and Meadow Road will receive concrete curb and gutter along with asphalt paving. All other roadway approaches will just receive asphalt due to their low volumes. As a side note, all commercial businesses within the project area will have curb and gutter approaches to direct their customers to their businesses. Project property impacts. Most work will be completed within the typical 100 foot of MDOT right-of-way. To improve the project roadway and cross drainage, some property owners have been contacted for small property purchases or grading permits. Driveway closures have been requested on some limited use driveways. Permits to grade drives have been requested to retain or improve driveway slopes on some properties. All folks impacted by these types of requests should have been contacted by MDOT real estate folks already. It is my understanding that most acquisitions have been completed. If you have received a request for one of these items and want more information on what will be done across your properties, please contact me. My information will be presented at the end of the presentation. Propose maintaining traffic. Due to the extent of the underground work and the placement of the geotextile fabric, a detour is proposed for this project. US 23 through traffic will be detoured for the major time frame of the project. Northbound through traffic on US 23 will take M72 West out of Harrisville to Barlow Road. Traffic will stay on Barlow Road, which becomes F41 directly to US 23. Southbound through traffic will take the reverse route. There will be additional slides to describe this better. Traffic moving to residential and commercial locations within the project limits will have two-way traffic maintained on a gravel surface. MDOT and its contractor will keep local traffic moving throughout the work area to local businesses during the duration of the project. A detail showing this will also follow. This map details the through traffic detour for the project. Due to the location of the project near Lake Huron and the lack of improved roadways, the US 23 to M72 to Barlow Road to F41 back up to US 23 is the best alternate route for through traffic to complete the work. The following slides just give a visual of the detour route coming from the south to the north. So this current slide just is basically a little west of the US 23 M72 intersection downtown Harrisville at the light. Traffic coming from the south going north, making a through movement, heading to Alpena, would take the detour west on M72. Just going out of Harrisville as depicted in this slide. I also want to note in this slide, you can see MDOT recently completed a fog and chip seal project shown here in preparation, one for the detour and just as a capital preventive maintenance surface seal. So after you leave Harrisville, you continue to the M72 Barlow Road intersection. At this intersection, there already is a right turn lane, which will help with the turning movements during the detour. Traffic will then turn right. Traffic will continue past Lincoln. Currently, the county and village are completing safety and surface improvements happening in this area that will benefit when the detour is in place. These pictures are just recently taken, so they are in the middle of doing their projects. The detour will continue on F41 and end at US 23, just south of the North Alcona County line. It ties into the current passing lane section on US 23 near the Citco station. I commonly refer to this as the Chippewa Point area. Local traffic detail. Traffic to businesses and residents within the work zone is a high priority. As stated earlier, two-way local traffic will be maintained. The project will involve a minimum 20-foot gravel roadway width for two-way traffic as shown. If operations involve work that require the contractor to close a lane during the day, standard flagging operations will occur just as on any road project. This detail shows the additional widening that will occur to construct the 20-foot gravel surface to maintain traffic. Partnering. MDOT and the Alcona County Road Commission have partnered to reduce the construction timeframe impact on the community. Alcona County has received state funds to chip seal and fog seal F41 prior to the detour. This chip and fog seal improvement will improve F41 for a road commission overlay project in the near future. The Village of Lincoln has partnered with MDOT on the route through their jurisdiction as well. Tentative project schedule. As stated earlier, the Alcona County Road Commission will be completing the chip and fog seal project on F41 prior to the detour. As part of our environmental requirements, tree clearing will be completed prior to April 1st within the construction zone. This work will be done by shoulder and/or lane closures as required. The major part of the project will tentatively start in April with the full detour in place. The project area would be required to be open to traffic by the July 4th holiday weekend. Final project work would then be completed under traffic by August 1st. It was intended to start early and have the detour off by the 4th of July, as much of the tourist season is July and August in our area. As a side note, we have other projects that will be completed while the detour is in use. With the decreased traffic on US 23, MDOT plans to improve 3 additional locations north of the project area. These projects are a chip and fog seal on US 23 from the end of the reconstruction project to 1.3 miles north of Lakeshore Drive. This is that passing lane section just north of the reconstruction project. For those of you that aren't aware, the chip seal is an application of asphalt emulsion with a cover of aggregate on top, and then we come back with a fog seal, which improves the ability for the stones to stick to the emulsion. It's basically what was just done on M72 this year I spoke of earlier. From that project, another project will occur, which is a hot mix asphalt mill and resurface from the end of that chip seal project to north of Lakeshore Drive. From the end of the chip seal project up to Everett Road, excuse me. Again, that's a more basic project you see happening, where they'll come in and they'll mill 1.5 inches of the asphalt off and repave 1.5 inches of new asphalt. And where that project is completed, there is another section of a chip and fog seal from Everett Road all the way up to Black River Road that will be completed in that same time frame. So, including the reconstruction project, there'll be 12 miles of roadway that will be improved with a total investment of about $6.4 million. So this is just a map showing those projects. The purple project at the bottom obviously is the 2-mile reconstruction project that we are discussing today. This green-blue color is the chip seal project that will occur directly adjacent. Above that, in the area up, south of Shaw Road, that's kind of shown on the map, is the 3-mile mill and overlay project. And the red area up here is that longer 5-mile chip seal that gets you up to Black River Road. In 2020, already MDOT completed 17 miles of chip seal and fog seal on M72, as I spoke about earlier, and is getting ready to complete another 4-mile capital preventive maintenance project. It's a short duration microsurface project on US 23 from Greenbush to just south of Harrisville next month. So in total, MDOT will have upgraded almost 33 miles of M72 and US 23 in Alcona County by the end of 2021. I hope you found this presentation worthwhile and informative. My contact information is given on this slide if you'd like to contact me for specific property questions and concerning this project. We also will be taking questions, as they spoke of earlier, via chat in Teams, and we will try to answer them as they come in. Thank you.
Hello, this is Monica, and James Lake, our communications representative, will get the questions started in just a moment.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. I did try to answer some of the run of meeting type questions, video questions, and then identifying the speakers. But now I will begin to read some of the questions that came in regarding the construction project. A couple of these I'll read together because they're by the same poster and kind of similar questions. So the first one is from Jonathan Cade from Black River. Given the existential crisis that COVID-19 has caused for Harrisville, the existing crisis caused by demographic changes and people moving out of Alcona County, and the generally tolerable state of US 23 through and north of Harrisville, why does this need to be done in 2021? I am afraid it will be a nail in the coffin for a wonderful small town. And then the follow-up question, if it is essential to do now, why is a total shutdown of US 23 necessary? Garrett, would you like to address those?
Sure. Am I visible and can everyone hear me? Just want to make sure.
I can hear you.
Okay, very good. So the first part of the question, why does this work need to be done in 2021? MDOT actually has a 5-year construction program. So this project has been in the works for around 4 years now, and funding specifically tied to the 2021 fiscal year is assigned to this project. So deciding at this point that we wouldn't do it in 2021 could jeopardize how soon we could actually get to the project itself coming up in the future. So generally, when we have funding tied to a specific year like this, it does not make it much sense to move it beyond that, because you're essentially jeopardizing the project in that case. Also, and based on some of the photos that Kevin had showed in his presentation, the condition is poor. You may be able to drive the speed limit comfortably, say this time of year, but certainly in the spring, during the freeze-thaw cycles, it can become quite chattery and bumpy, and is a situation that we don't want to let linger. So that's why we're doing it next year, and we understand that there's been impacts due to the coronavirus, but at the same time, to cancel work for next year as a result of it, and then overload potential future years, it would have, other type of impacts that we would then have to deal with. So it's important that we still continue to be balanced in our construction programs over the next several years. And then the second part of that question, why is a total shutdown of US 23 necessary? I guess I'll first point out, and Kevin did a good job of describing this, that we're not talking about a total shutdown. I wouldn't characterize it that way. I would characterize it more as a detour of through moving traffic with local traffic and traffic that is intending to go to a local business perhaps is still being maintained, as Kevin had shown. So a total shutdown wouldn't characterize exactly what we're doing, but the fact that we're doing a detour of through traffic and maintaining only a gravel surface for local traffic enables us to do this project much quicker. If we were to try to keep all traffic on the US 23 within the project limits, we'd likely be looking at very inefficient construction. Because of the nature of the work, we wouldn't be able to do traditional flag control because you can't get the 2 lanes back open during the non-working periods at night. So we'd potentially be looking at temporary traffic signal situations, which would probably divide the project up into 10 or 12 segments. And it's just extremely inefficient. You'd probably be looking at an entire construction season to do this project. So yeah, so the reason we're choosing this method for maintaining traffic is so that we can actually get in there, get working on it right away in April as soon as we're able to, and be out of there for the most part by July 4th and have it back open to traffic.
Okay, sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth between 2 pages. The next, and I'm not sure if this is the same person. Both of them are marked anonymous. but I'll read them together as well. No mention of another large business, Alcona Brew House. You completely omitted that. And understand the work needs to be done, but not between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Thanks, James. I'll handle that one too. Apologize for the oversight for not mentioning the Alcona Brew House. We are certainly aware that the Alcona Brew House is within the project limits and is one of the businesses that we're speaking of as far as making sure that we are maintaining traffic or local traffic that intends to access that business. So apologies for that omission. So I understand that the work needs to be done, but not between Memorial and Labor Day. So we acknowledge that the summer season is certainly the busy season in northern Michigan. However, is it possible, Monica or James, to share my screen? I do have a chart that I would like to show.
This is Monica. Yes, I see it, and I will share your screen now.
Thank you. Is it visible? Is it live?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you. So this is a chart of actual traffic patterns on US 23, very near to this area. So we have a permanent, what we call a permanent traffic recorder. It's located on US 23, just in the south end of Alpena County, 20 to 25 miles north of this location. So it's not a depiction of the exact traffic volumes that you would see on the project portion of US 23, but it would be very indicative of the seasonal patterns and fluctuations in traffic. So I'll just describe what this chart is showing here. And this is over the last 5 years, excluding 2020 because it's been kind of a funky year with the coronavirus. But 2015 through 2019, this red line here represents average traffic over the entire year. Okay, so if we look at the month of April, the 0.92, this essentially means that during the month of April, traffic is roughly 8% less than average. Okay, in May, we're 1% above average, so essentially average. In June, we're 7% above average. Then when we get into July and August, obviously 19% and 15% above average, that's very obvious, right? I think we all experienced that summer traffic in northern Michigan. Getting into September and October then, actually September is 8% above average. So on average, over the last 5 years, we've had slightly more traffic on US 23 in the month of September than in the month of June. And we've had 3% above average in October, meaning that comparing October to May, we actually see a little bit higher traffic in October as well. And this is part of a pattern we're seeing all around northern Michigan. I think it used to be that Memorial Day to Labor Day, that was it. That was the summer tourism season. We've seen that really from Traverse City to Alpena to Gaylord and in Harrisville even. We've seen that summer season extend out into September and October, whether it's because of warmer temperatures, I'm not sure, but I think fall color tours certainly have something to do with it. So actually, based on the data here, we are showing that we're doing this project in the most opportune time for when traffic is somewhat less during the construction season. Doing it in the fall after Labor Day, not only are there time constraints associated with that, but we actually have more traffic during those months than we would in May and June. So hopefully that answered the question, and I can stop sharing this now. I will also say that if folks have further questions or would like further information regarding traffic data, we have this by day of week. We have actual days for 10 years back. So if any business or resident or anyone's curious about more traffic information, please contact us and we can certainly look that up and share it with you. Certainly public data.
Okay, Garrett, next question is from Jonathan Cade again from Black River. I'm skeptical that this is needed right now because I have driven over this stretch many times this year and can't say I noticed anything amiss. I've seen so much worse all over the state. I believe you addressed that. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't doubt that there are probably worse or roads around the state that are in worse condition. But this is all part of it. This project is not directly tied to the Governor's Rebuild Michigan plan, but it's certainly related to it in that we don't want a road such as US 23, which is a very important road for the area. We don't want to let it get into such a condition that it's almost undrivable, or folks are having damage claims because of potholes and that kind of thing. We feel it's very ready for a full reconstruction. And as Kevin indicated, that the old concrete there, it's been there for almost 90 years. So we definitely got our use out of that concrete, and it's time to move on and get a nice new road in there. And then if you look at Kevin's timeline, once we do this project, you're probably not likely to see us again from a total reconstruction capacity for probably 40 or 50 years. Okay, so 2.5 months to get by for 40 or 50 years, I think is a pretty good deal.
Okay, up next, I've got a pair of questions. Well, a pair of comment groups from Sandy Aarons. The first is, why can't this be done after, sorry, I added a word. Why can't this, I'm sure it was intended to be done after Labor Day to preserve the summer season for businesses, also keeping one lane open for customer traffic. And then the next questions were, what can you do to guarantee access for my customers to know Alcona Brewhouse is open and to get through? Road closed indicates we are not open.
Good questions. So the reason that we wouldn't want to start this project after Labor Day is because that's a shorter window for us. As probably everyone that's on the call is probably familiar with Michigan weather. When you start a project after Labor Day, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the entire month of October to work, and it tends to be a rainier season, and you get more rain days and that kind of thing. So you're really jeopardizing the potential or the ability to get the project done before the winter season starts. And then we're end up in a situation where we're paying a contractor to come back again in the spring and then interrupt you for 2 seasons instead of 1. So that's the reason we don't want to start after Labor Day. There's enough work here that would really be a risk for us, a significant risk that we don't think is worth taking. Starting in April, and understood that that's probably going to be a little bit flexible based on, again, weather. But started in April, we're very comfortable that we can have traffic open by July 4th. And even if the work isn't totally complete, it would be to a point where you could still open to traffic and then complete it under traffic for the next month or so, as Kevin had indicated. But we're expecting to be substantially complete by July 4th. So that would be the reason not to start after Labor Day. And then what can we do to guarantee access to customers for Alcona Brewhouse? And I would imagine there are some other businesses in the area that are probably wondering this too. So some basic things, first of all, we are not intending to sign regionally for this project. And what I mean by that is we wouldn't put signs out down in Tawas or up in Rogers City or Alpena or anything like that, indicating that this construction exists, that would potentially encourage folks to take a different route. We don't feel like the delays that we would experience here are significant enough to do that. So that's one thing that we will not do that could potentially drive business away. The second thing we will do is we will have signs that are part of the detour sequence on either end of the project that do indicate that all businesses are open and that the road is open to local traffic. So using that word open in signing sequences combined with the through traffic follow detour type stuff, we'll do our best to indicate that things are open. And then finally, we've actually had some success stories around the state and around the North region with businesses doing well during construction projects, because we will certainly work with anyone who's interested to come up with maybe specific signing plans that we would allow your business to put up to indicate that you are open. I know that the state park in Harrisville there is certainly a traffic generator, so perhaps there could be opportunity to work with them through your business to let people know that you're open. And then of course there will be contractors and NDOT personnel within the project limits quite often. So there could be opportunities there to partner there and potentially drum up some business. I want to try to get the point across. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're not driving business away. That being said, it is a construction project. I will acknowledge that maybe some folks that would normally be driving by there would not be in this case, but again, it's 2.5 months. We're trying to avoid the busiest time of year, and very willing to work with anyone who wants to work with us on putting the signing in place that would indicate that businesses are still open and wanting their business. So hopefully that answers the question, and if there's more, willing to have, or very happy to answer.
Okay, next question is from Scott Rice, Alcona County EMS Director and Emergency Management Coordinator. By closing US 23 completely, it will severely impact emergency response times for police, fire, and EMS. Will emergency vehicles have access to pass through the construction zone?
Short answer is yes. I would go back to Kevin's slide on how we are planning to maintain local access. There wouldn't be a time where the road would be completely shut down and someone would not be able to get through. I would also add that perhaps it would be a good idea for MDOT leading up to the project to reach out to Mr. Rice and maybe get the appropriate contact information in place and learn some faces, learn some names, such that we can accommodate any other special needs that he may have, because certainly that's a priority, is to make sure that things are open in case an emergency does come up.
Okay, I'm still scrolling through questions here. We've gotten quite a few. Okay, it looks like next up, another from Jonathan Cade, Black River. Alcona Brewhouse, which is part of a complex of businesses in Harrisville, including the grocery store and laundromat, is smack in the middle of the project. It will become much harder to get to it as a result, and people will be much less likely to go. The owners say that it will be impossible to keep any of their businesses open if one leg of the table is taken out.
I'd say a somewhat similar question to what was already asked about how will we maintain access to the brew house. I feel I have answered that, and as I said before, very willing to work with local businesses to see what we can figure out and take some innovative approaches to drumming up business and to making sure that folks know you're open. That being said, we don't want to get into the fact that we're telling you how to operate your business either. So certainly any decisions are yours to make, but we're there to work with you and help out as we can.
Okay, we had a couple of technical questions about the meeting. I'll skip over those. The next is from Sandy Aarons. Why would this project take 16 weeks and during the summer months? This could be done much faster as well as off-season.
Well, I think we're looking at roughly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's about 10 weeks that we're looking at the detour situation, with another 4 weeks on top of that to project closure. So about 14, maybe 16 weeks. That's pretty typical. Actually, it's kind of fast for a project of this scale. We are setting this up as an expedited contract, meaning we are letting those contractors that want to bid on it know up front. We expect that when you arrive, you are working, and you are working probably 6 days a week, at least 10 to 12 hours a day. You're going to see work happening out there during the project. It's not going to be one of those situations where they show up, work for a little bit, leave, come back a week later. We're taking the necessary steps to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think I've addressed why the time of year was chosen. It is one summer month, June, and so we're certainly avoiding the busiest summer months, which would be July and August.
Okay, had a couple other little technical back and forths. Next one, the viewer is listed as, does the meeting start at 3? The question is, or question slash comment. I sure can't say the road is in dire need of this upgrade given the current economy in the area. I would think this could be delayed to let the local businesses recover from the COVID economy. So that was really just a comment. The question, next question, Jonathan Cade again from Black River. What is the point of replacing the road if you kill the town?
Well, certainly our goal is not to kill the town, and I truly feel that the decisions we've made so far with the selection of maintaining traffic and other things are actually designed to make sure that, or to best make sure that that does not happen. We certainly acknowledge when you have a project like this with a detour in place, you're going to get less traffic. That's certainly the case. But being open again in July and August, which is the primary times of the year, and then I understand there is a Labor Day festival in Harrisville as well, and being completely open for that, I think will go a long way. And we simply, and I've described this before, we have a responsibility to reconstruct US 23. It is a primary artery for the east side of our state, connecting urban centers, and allowing it to get into such a condition that it would be nearly impassable would be extremely irresponsible on our part. So we have a responsibility to fix the road when it needs it. And like I said before, you shouldn't see us back there for many, many years afterwards, except to do just minor maintenance.
Okay, we got another comment from the does the meeting start at 3? Oh, the classic spend it or lose it, regardless of the impact to the community. I noticed that question came, or that comment came in, Garrett, when you were referencing the 5-year plan program funding. Next question, Jonathan Cade, Black River. How often do these projects finish on time? I am used to them going weeks or months later than intended.
Generally, a project like this, sometimes you do get into situations where they don't finish on time, but we have a hard date of that July 4th weekend. And like I said before, even if some of the work isn't quite complete yet, the road will be open, and we'll work the contractor to do so. We can also have things in place that provide more incentive or perhaps disincentive to a contractor for missing that date, and we are considering those for this project as well. But really, in my experience at MDOT, yes, some projects go a little longer than expected, but when we get into this type of a project where we know the impact is significant to the locals, our partners in the road building industry, our contractors, understand that as well, and we've been successful in getting them open on time. Many more success stories than none.
Okay, next question. Well, no, I'm sorry. Comment from Jonathan Cade again. The area under the curve in this chart during the project represents about 33% of the yearly traffic. Garrett, I think that was the graph that you presented there about traffic counts. And then we do have a follow-up question from Sandy Aarons about that graph. The graph you showed is from 5 years ago. Alcona Brewhouse opened in 2019 and was averaging 400 to 600 customers per day. This does not reflect in your graph for accuracy.
Yeah, I can just address that real quick, James. Okay. You probably saw the 2015 date on there. That was actually that data that I showed was an average of 2015 through 2019. We generally try not to look at 1 year of data because certain events can skew it. So looking at 5 years of data, I think gives an accurate picture of what kind of traffic projections we're looking at. So, and I'm very glad to hear that you had 400 to 600 customers per day. That's congratulations.
Okay, next question is from John Smith / Todd. Sorry if I mispronounced this. Poley from Northeastern Window and Door. We are very concerned about our business during this project. Will our customer staff suppliers be able to access our business without too much inconvenience. We have several semis and our trucks that are in and out from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And so yes, customers, staff, suppliers will be able to access the business without too much inconvenience. I guess it depends on how you define inconvenience. If it happens to fall on a day when the contractor is not working, perhaps a Sunday or a rain day, that kind of thing, then you're going to see two-way traffic on a gravel road. So it shouldn't be too inconvenient. If it's a day that we're working, which should be most days, you may encounter some flag controls. So that would be what you typically encounter in a construction project, with one direction being allowed to go at a time, controlled by a flagger at either end for local traffic. So that's how you would be granted the access into and out of your business. So, and it's good to know, this is part of the reason we have these meetings, is to learn of this type of thing. So it's good for us to know that you do have semis and trucks that are accessing your business regularly, so we can prepare for that.
Okay, next question should be easy to answer quickly from Anonymous. Is the graph you showed from 25 miles north of the project?
Yes, it is. And as I said, as I was describing it, it's not an indication of the exact traffic volumes that we would have on this stretch of US 23. However, it is a very good indication of the traffic fluctuations that the area sees. So that was the intent of showing it.
Yeah, we have those permanent traffic counters spread out throughout the state. They don't measure traffic in every location. Next question, Jonathan Cade again, Black River. Can't the project be broken into two smaller pieces?
Well, it's a 2-mile project. In MDOT terms, it is actually a relatively short project. So breaking it into two, say 1-mile pieces, again, we can come back to that efficiency point, that mobilizing twice, we'd end up spending quite a bit more money actually to do it that way. And then you'd have to deal with two potential detours in 2 different seasons as a result. And I don't think that's what anyone wants. So that's why we just say, let's just get in there once, get it done, and then get out of your hair.
Okay, I will take one of these comments just out of sequence in the overall, because it addresses the traffic count. It says 25 miles north of Alpena is not very relevant to this project site. It's not 25 miles north of Alpena, correct, Eric?
It's 25 miles north of the project site. It's actually right south of Alpena.
Right. Okay. All right.
James, real quick before you ask another question, I see we are coming up at 4 o'clock, and I don't know how this works, if we can continue past 4 o'clock answering questions, or if we have to have a hard cutoff.
I believe we can continue. Okay, next question, John Smith, Todd Poley from Northeastern Window and Door again. What is the probability that the project will be completed on time? Most projects are not completed on time, i.e. East Tawas project a couple of years ago.
Like I said before, we take the steps necessary to best ensure that the project is completed on time. Of course, we can't promise it 100% because we don't know what sort of events may take place, but I would just assure you that we are taking the steps necessary to make that probability as high as we can.
Okay, Jonathan also had another comment, but he sent that to us separately and said that it does not need to be read. Anonymous said, are you serious that this could actually increase business? Also, that state park does not allow any advertising by private business. Was this comment tongue in cheek?
No, it was not tongue in cheek. We've actually seen situations where during construction, businesses have used that to their advantage. And of course, I don't want to suggest that I know any more about your business than you do. Of course, you know more and you know the ins and outs of it. I'm just trying to be helpful and in giving suggestions. If they can't be taken, they can't be taken. But we're going to do our best to work with you to keep the impact as minimal as we can.
Okay. This question is from Alcona County Review. It says, what do businesses need to do to work with an MDOT representative in order to get signage for open businesses? Another meeting, question mark, send a request, question mark.
Yeah, good question. I would say we do have some contact information that has been shared. We can share that again before we leave. That would be the best way, just to reach out directly to us at the TSC with your specific request, and we'll work with you from there. We are also planning another meeting prior to construction starting, probably late February, early March time frame, and that would also be another good opportunity to talk with us about that. Although I'd recommend you get an earlier start on it. Part of the reason we're doing this meeting now in July, 9 months before the project starts, is so that folks can begin preparations knowing that it's coming and you're not surprised by it. James, you're on mute.
Sorry, I scroll through these questions and then I lose my spot again and have to scroll back up. Next one's a comment from Sherry Carpenter. It looks like we've got a repeat. We must preserve the few businesses still along US 23. The risk to them right now is far more than the risk in MDOT starting the project right after Labor Day. This is critical. Comment from Scott Rice, Alcona County EMS. Labor Day parade is canceled. Arts and Craft Festival is also canceled. Question from Jonathan Cade. Can the southern end of the project open prior to the northern end?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm not going to say yes or no at this point, but that actually is a good point. I wonder if you could have the project progress so that point of closure, at least at the south end, continues to move north to access, so that businesses can be better accessed. That's actually a good suggestion that I think we can take under consideration at our office and have a discussion about that. Thank you.
Okay. Next one is from Anonymous. Businesses already missed Mother's Day weekend and Memorial Day weekend for 2020, so killing it again for 2021. How much do you really think businesses can survive? I think you've answered that this is not our intent to harm businesses. It's to fix the roadway, and at the same time we will do what we can to minimize the impact on businesses. Not to say that there won't be some, but we will do what we can to minimize. The next is from Sandy Aarons. Did anyone ever ask businesses when the best time is to do this? You are basing your time frame on a time when there was no restaurant. You do realize that Mother's Day is the busiest day for a restaurant. 4th of July week is double our business compared to any other week in the summer, and that is the peak of summer. When kids go back to school, business drops by half or more.
So part of the reason we're having this is obviously to get businesses' feedback. But like I said before, we're pretty tied to those dates that we're using. Of course, I don't realize that Mother's Day is the busiest day for a restaurant, but I would also point out that we're not closing off access to the restaurant on Mother's Day either. Local traffic and folks that are intending to go to the restaurant can certainly get there. And then the 4th of July week being double the business, so that I guess that's a good thing then that we're being open by that time, so that business can happen.
Okay. Next question, anonymous. I have also seen semis at ABH2. Will they be able to get trucks too? I presume the ABH is Oconah Brewhouse. Yep.
Yeah, it would be the same answer as I gave for the northeastern windows. Yep.
Okay. Next, it looks like a comment, anonymous, although a long shot. Is the awarded? Oh, I guess it is a question. Is the awarded contractor allowed to start earlier if weather permits? March 1st would be less impact the local community.
Yes, we would set it up that way. We would not have a hard start date. If weather was allowing us to, we would certainly work with our contractor to start earlier if we could. So, yes.
Okay, next question is from John Smith again. Are you planning to change the roadbed height in front of northeastern window and door?
I don't know the answer to that, but Kevin, if you're out there, maybe you do.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not positive. I do have some plans. I can always get back to the folks there.
Okay.
Stuff is not changing drastically for sure, and I know we've met with them on site for some curb and gutter and driveway issues. So I don't have the plans in front of me, but it can't be much difference. But I can contact them and we can discuss it.
Okay. Next is a comment, Sandy Aarons. This is so detrimental to businesses and to Harrisville. It's shocking you don't realize this. Businesses have been closed for months and suffered enormous losses. Next comment, anonymous, pointing out that the Arts and Crafts Festival and Parade for Labor Day is not canceled for 2021. It is for 2020. Yep, understood. Next comment, Kenneth Kozel. MDOT is tied to the dates because of arbitrary budget reasons. There is an alternative: delay it for 1 year, shift the budget, allow the businesses to recover from the COVID economy. And then a comment from Christina Carpenter. I understand work needs to be done at some point. Under current economic circumstances, it's sad that this can't be pushed to a later date. Oconah County, in the heart of Harrisville, is barely hanging on. This will be detrimental to local businesses and the town in general. And it appears that we have reached the end of the list of questions at this point, which fits with the schedule of the meeting. So it appears you've addressed all the questions at this point, Garrett.
Okay, well, very good. And I very much appreciate, or we very much appreciate everyone who was able to attend today and the questions that were asked. We certainly understand the heartburn that a road construction project can cause, especially for a community such as Harrisville. And I hope you understand that we are doing as much as we can to minimize that impact as much as we can and just be out of there and done and out of there as quickly as we can. So again, thank you for attending. If you have more questions after this meeting, again, feel free to contact any one of us that were here. Our contact information is, I believe, is being shared or has been shared.
Yep, Monica just shared that in the question and answer string. We did get one more comment. I'll read it, Garrett, and then we can conclude. From Sherry Carpenter again. Most residents in the area have no idea about what is being planned. Harrisville is the county seat. Everyone knows that a sign saying open to local traffic is a huge deterrent. Oconah Brewhouse and Northeastern Window are two only bright spots there. Delay this, sorry. Okay, sorry, one more comment and then we'll wrap up here. This is not heartburn, it is loss of business and loss of a town. Okay, again, echoing Garrett's comments, we appreciate everyone participating, and Garrett's contact information is in the Q&A if you'd like to reach out with further comments, questions, concerns. And we will look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.